right, so look, we got Max Keiser here. We just got done with the Detroit Bruce tour. That was pretty dope.
No, Detroit Bruce is awesome, man. This town, I didn't know that it was like a Renaissance town. The whole thing is just like blown up, huge. I mean, I knew about the Shinola story,
right?
That this was a brand that had been resurrected or rebranded or something, and I knew that there was something going on. But this is incredible. This whole downtown is just completely transformed.
Yeah,
it's really amazing.
Yeah, so we're in the Shinola Hotel right now with Max Keiser, and again, thank you for coming out. We're going to be doing the Max Bitcoin Rage tour tomorrow.
That's right. Yeah. After this, doing Detroit. Then we got some people maybe in Cleveland. And Baltimore.
And Baltimore.
You know, the top cities of America.
Yeah.
All with losing hockey teams. Except for Detroit. You know, you had a Stanley Cup winner there for a while.
Right. So tell us about your experience with Detroit Bruce. Like, how did you like the tour?
Well, it was like anytime you do a tour, you know, you find little nooks and crannies that you completely would have ignored. So behind this hotel there's the alleyway, and I wasn't aware of it. So back there they got all these different things built up, and they just done an amazing job here keeping the old buildings. You know, as was pointed out a few times, you know, you could have ripped them down and rebuilt. It would have been cheaper. But instead they've kept all the old buildings intact and kind of done it in a very expensive way. But it has kept the flavor, the integrity of the city is intact. And you know, it's done an amazing thing. Now, interestingly enough, you know, we were talking to Bruce about Bitcoin.
So one of my team members, who's been with me for over 6 years, he says, "Happy birthday! Here's Bitcoin. 300 shares. Is that what they call it? Shares, coins, whatever." And I'm like, "Oh, thanks." And then he downloads the app. What's it called? Coinbase.
Yeah.
Okay. So and he's like, "Oh," and I look it up, and it's like, "Oh, $300 Bitcoin." That was a nice gift.
Yeah.
Okay. Honestly, I don't care because I'm just like, it'd be a buy and hold thing anyways. Maybe my kids will like be millionaires from it one day. I don't know. But I will say I'm a proud owner of Bitcoin.
Just don't lose your keys.
Key?
Oh. Yeah, we got a long way to go.
And in Detroit, it's just, you know, they pride themselves. It's got tech, it's got fiber, it's got
Motor City.
We got these big companies coming in here, and he didn't know anything about Bitcoin.
Not really. No.
And
he said he had $300 worth that was now worth $30, which I don't think if he's gotten it maybe at the top, it could have been worth 30.
No, I think he's got 300 coins. He's probably sitting on millions and millions of coins. He's like, geez, I don't know. I think I forgot is there a key or something? I left it in my trash. Yeah, he's one of those. He lost one of these guys is helping us, the hodlers, because he lost all of his coins.
Exactly.
It's like, well, I don't know what Bitcoin is. Yeah, you're sitting on $14 million worth. It's like, no way. Yeah, wait, dude.
So, you brought up some really key points that you thought was important for us to highlight after the tour about Detroit, the rebuilding of it, even the bankruptcy aspect of it, and how we're really missing the point, many people here, that Wall Street is a problem. Wall Street was the whole reason why we went through bankruptcy. They sold us loans and bonds that we couldn't pay back, and they knew that, you know, that couldn't be the case. So kind of explain how you see Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies really helping cities like Detroit be revitalized.
Right. So, you know, the whole story, the big pitch, you know, we saw a nice video, and they were trying to attract Amazon's HQ2. They wanted to come here to Detroit. And everybody's talking about Detroit is brilliant future, and it's on the cutting edge, and we designed the future and be part of the future, and which is great, you know, and it's a good message, you know. But there is another part of the story, you know. Detroit's been deindustrialized.
Yep.
It got blown apart by, you know, what was done during certainly the Clinton administration by shipping all the jobs to China and all the politics of it. Now I understand why. You don't want to focus on that.
The Ross Perot sucking sound.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want to focus on that because it's a downer, like, you know.
Yeah.
You don't want to come off. But the fact is that those are the facts. So to re-enfranchise the community, That's where Bitcoin comes in, because it's hard money, it's real money.
Yep.
It's a way that the black community can reestablish itself economically, you know,
Yes.
with hard money. I've been saying this since 2011, 2013. I've been tweeting about it, said it on my show many times. You know, I would say, on 2013, I said on Keiser Report, you know, black community should embrace Bitcoin, and you know, it could buy the white community essentially.
Yeah.
So you know, maybe a bit of an exaggeration, but the point being that, you know, you have this.
We can at least buy back our community.
Right. So I mean, look what happened in New Orleans or in other communities around the country. Predatory lending that destroys communities, and so this has got to end. This has got to stop. And this is a great message for Bitcoin, and this is a great message for this town, is that this is hard money. This is hard money that grows, it's deflationary, it gives you individual sovereignty, and it's unconfiscatable.
That's right.
You know, that should resonate in the black community, because, you know, like I say all the time, the racism in America is not going away.
No.
It never went away, and it's as fucked up today as it has been, it's ever been. You know, you went from slavery to Jim Crow to the prison industrial complex. You know, it's still completely dividing the nation.
So I'm here in the city. I live here in the Metro Detroit area now. You said born and raised in the city. What do you suggest people like me that live here, that, you know, work downtown and in the city and stuff, what do you suggest we do to really bring Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, to more people who don't even know? I think it's like a gap, right? Because you have people that don't even know what money is or how the current financial system works. How do you get them from lack of any knowledge with the current monetary system to knowing about Bitcoin and appreciating what you just said, the, you know, fungibility, you know, you can't confiscate it, all of that stuff? Like, how do we bridge that gap and get them intrigued with that, though?
Yeah, it's an issue for sure, and it's a challenge, and it's a message that is, I think, important to get through. I think this concept of unconfiscatability is a kind of an interesting concept.
Sure.
Because unlike fiat money or even gold or silver or other forms of wealth like property, Bitcoin is unconfiscatable.
Yep. You don't have to pay taxes on it.
No, you do have to pay. You could pay. No, that's not an issue. Taxes. Put that aside for a second.
What I'm saying is taxes, as in, if I have a property, I have to pay taxes on it every year. That's what
property tax.
Yeah, property tax.
You don't pay property tax on it.
Right.
But you know, the thing is that the black community has a problem of getting their shit seized.
Yes.
Yeah, seizure.
Absolutely.
Like, we're gonna take your shit.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Forfeiture, right?
Forfeiture.
Yep.
You know, predatory lending. You know, so this is wealth that you can, if you want to, you could have it in, you know, what's called a mind wallet.
Sure.
Right? So you have that passphrase memorized.
Right.
And you know, that's it. You could have 10,000, 20,000, 100,000, and no one can touch it.
Right.
No one can touch that money. And over 3 years, 5 years, 4 years, you know, it's going to appreciate. You know, okay, black community is aware that the banking system is messed up and imploding. The country is on a shaky moral grounds. Like the Jeffrey Epstein scandal shows that the elites of America are messed up. You know, they are horrible. They're not a role model. They're nothing. They got nothing. You know, anybody wants. Right.
So what do you think about Andrew? Is it Yang?
Andrew Yang.
Yeah.
Yeah, I support Andrew Yang. I'm Yang Gang.
You Yang Gang.
I'm Yang Gang. I'm ready for Yang Gang. Yeah.
All right. So you think he's the solution for many of the issues that we have, or do you think he's just gonna get in? Let's just say hypothetically he wins. Do you think he'll just succumb to?
Well, first of all, I think I picked Yang like 6 months ago, 8 months ago, 9 months ago. I said this guy I think is going to be in the top 2 or 3 left standing.
Okay.
Because he's so radically different than anybody else, and if he were in a debate with Trump would have a lot of trouble with this guy. because usually in debates he's very good at goading people, baiting people, getting them to get emotional.
Okay.
And Yang is he's a technology guy. He's very level-headed.
Yeah, he is.
He's probably, he's not an emotional person. He's not going to take the bait. And so that's going to be very frustrating for someone for Trump, who's like a bully mostly.
Correct.
And tries to get people to kind of, as he calls it, I'm a counterpuncher. So he draws you in with his rhetoric, and then he hits you.
Right.
So I think in a debate situation, Yang would do very, very well. His policies, what he's talking about, I think economically makes sense. The American economy as an enterprise generates a certain amount of revenue, a certain amount of pre-tax profit, post-tax profit. We put money here, we put money there, we've got a big defense budget. But there's no reason why the people of America shouldn't get a dividend from the enterprise America. I vote. I as a shareholder of America, I should get my dividend. And people call it universal basic income. That's not really what I would call it. It's not really universal basic income like here's your $1,000 check a month. It's like here's my dividend check. I get dividends on my stocks. I buy stocks, I get dividends. I buy my shares of America when I pay my taxes.
Yeah.
And I want my dividend. Here's my dividend.
I never thought of it as a dividend.
Right? Why not?
Yeah. Okay.
Social Security should have been buying stocks for 40 years. Every single underwriting that ever happens on Wall Street, 1% should go in Social Security. So everyone in America has a share of Apple, has some of this, some of that. Everything just goes into my Social Security account.
But instead,
I'm a stakeholder in America. So that changes the psychology of Americans. So
that's true.
Instead of being like, well, I'm on the outside looking in, there's this 1%, I'm not part of the 1%. No, here's your Social Security account. And every month it just keeps going up and up. It could be like, well, you can't use it for education until you're 18. You can use it to help buy a house when you're maybe, if you have, expecting a child or something. Like there's certain benchmarks. But that fund, like the sovereign wealth fund in Norway, is enormous, multi-trillion dollars, and they just because they happen to co-own the northern oil fields with Britain, and the Qatar sovereign wealth fund.
I was going to say
is in the trillions.
Yeah.
Right? Why doesn't America have a sovereign wealth fund? Right? We're supposed to be the biggest economic power in the world.
Well, is it because we really aren't solvent? Is it because
we could be though? In other words, Yang's point of view is that let's approach it like this, like we're all stakeholders and we're trying to make money for everybody, and here's your dividend. There's no reason why the U.S. can't be solvent. There's no reason why the U.S. can't be competitive. There's no reason why capitalism can't work in America.
Well,
right now, you don't have capitalism.
Trillions and trillions of debt. How can we become solvent?
Right, it's getting worse every single day.
Right.
But you look at the budget, look down the budget items. You've got obvious places you can cut. The military budget is,
right.
Or my friend Carl, he's down there in Florida. The name is skipping me right now. He's been on my show more than anyone else. Any of my guests is Carl
Denninger.
Yeah, Carl Denninger. He points out that simply by reforming the healthcare system, that would boost GDP by 20%.
Wow.
Because the healthcare system, they're completely out of control. The healthcare industry, the insurers, and the hospitals are gouging everybody. I can't believe the amount of money I have to pay every month.
I know.
And then the deductibles are insane. And that just goes to administrators. It doesn't go to healthcare. Right? And it's overpriced by thousands of percentage points. So that right there would save you 20% GDP. So that's 5-6 trillion in savings right there. If you just were to reform healthcare so that it's what you find in other countries. Other countries spend 5% of GDP in healthcare. America is getting close to 20%, which is, and 15% is complete it's just complete waste. It just goes to paying salaries to the executives and administrative costs, and it adds nothing to healthcare. And as a matter of fact, life expectancy is going down.
Yeah.
Infant mortality is going up.
Yeah.
So the actual health of Americans is collapsing.
Yeah.
So you can't make the argument like, well, it's great because we have great health care. No, it's actually terrible health care and it's too expensive.
What are your thoughts about what we currently have going on with the bonds? We've got the 10s and 2s. They've inverted.
Yeah.
Where do we go from here, man? We've got Euro. They're going NERP. Where do we go? Where do we go from here? And how does Bitcoin play into this? How can Bitcoin be a safety net for all of these sovereign debts and issues that we have around the globe?
Well, interest rates are interesting because there's really two sides to the interest rate story, isn't there? There's the interest rates going down, but bond prices, of course, go up.
Yep.
So if you look at bond prices over the past 40, 50 years, okay, they've never been this high.
Right.
How about over the past 300 years in America?
Never been
this high.
Right.
How about over the past 3,000 years? Have bond prices ever been this high?
I
never.
don't think so.
Because you've never had negative interest rates. So the bonds are in the biggest bubble that the world has ever seen in 5,000 years. So it's not about negative interest rates, it's about bonds trading at tulips. The real tulips are bonds.
Not Bitcoin. Not Bitcoin.
Right, so the tulips are the bonds. Then the stock market, which has been feeding off this cheap money, that's another tulip. Property market in all these areas, that's another tulip. The only thing that's not a tulip is Bitcoin and gold. Certainly not gold. Gold's been cheap for 60 years now, and now it's starting to wake up. But those are the things that are not in a bubble. So the bond prices are in a historic bubble. They could get to an even more outrageous bubble, but this is a bubble.
Are we at the end?
Right to pop. Well, you can never. It's almost impossible to call tops and bottoms in any market.
Right.
And I think that according to Michael Hudson, who's another guest on the Keiser Report quite often, he thinks that negative interest rates could get down to negative 25%. All right.
Wait a minute. So you're telling me they're going to pay me 25% to hold debt?
That's the idea. So
so this thing can go on for a while.
Well, I mean, it's I don't know, if it could get to 25%, but it's got some life left in it, and it's a default. It's another way to look at it.
Yeah.
And the banks are insolvent. I think what'll probably kill it is like Deutsche Bank. That's been circling the drain for a couple of years. And I think that it just hit a new low this week. So Deutsche Bank is probably going to go under, and then they're going to have to do a massive bailout. Then there'll be massive contagion. It'll be another Lehman Brothers.
So there isn't currently any real correlation or negative correlation with Bitcoin and Wall Street yet. When you see that start to happen?
Well, no, Bitcoin has become a risk-off asset.
Okay.
Like gold. So it's a safe haven. Now, I started saying that on Keiser Report 2 years ago, that it's a safe haven play. It's a risk-off play.
But we've seen many times where Bitcoin has gone down with the stock market.
Right.
Is it correlation, not causation?
But it's still wildly volatile in its own right.
Right.
Right? So it's the gold now. You look at gold and you say, okay, it's going up on days that market's going down. Or when oil's going down, gold is going up. Usually, that's rare. It usually only happens right during economic financial duress.
Right.
So now you got gold going up, oil going down. Bitcoin, looking at the trend, where it's come from $1 to 10,000. Obviously, that's a huge spread and huge volatility. But I've noticed the last year or so that it's become more of a risk-off safe haven asset. It doesn't mean like it's going to, the correlation is going to be perfect.
Right.
Market was wildly, down. It was down this week. Bitcoin was down. I think there was some huge Chinese
I reported on that
scandal
today. Yeah.
That they were unwinding. Right.
Yeah,
they were unwinding
that's
2 billion or 2 billion coins.
2.9.
Okay, so that's obviously a huge order. On one hand, you say, oh, that sucks because the price is down. But on the other hand, if this were 2014 and it was Mt. Gox, the price would have dropped 80% and it would have taken 4 years to recover.
Sure.
Here, the price is down 10, 15%, 20%, and it's going to take a few weeks to recover.
Yep.
So that shows maturity in the market. It shows it can take a huge sell order like that and get by. I have to say, just stack sats every day. Don't try to pick tops or bottoms. Don't trade the market. It's too crazy. It's like trying to fly a kite in a wind tunnel.
Yeah.
It's just too much. It'll just rip your face off. You're not gonna. How many traders do you know now that are like professional day traders of crypto? I don't know a single one that hasn't gone crazy like Craig Wright or lost everything. Day trading it doesn't work. You got to just be buy and hodl. That's the way to go.
Last thing I want to talk about is this whole Reggie Middleton thing is really big in my circle of viewership. What's going on with that? What are your thoughts about him and the whole Veritaseum Gold and the SEC coming after him? We'd love to know your thoughts on that.
Right. Well, Reggie
you used to have him on all the time.
Frequent guest, and think about that coin is like it's been pivoted. I think at least twice.
Yeah.
First it was Ultracoin, and it was first when I heard about it was Ultracoin, and when I first heard the story about Ultracoin, I gotta tell you I was mystified.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what exactly is this? What is
right.
it about? Like,
yep. Same here.
So I was like, okay, Reggie, I hear you. You're an entrepreneur, and so I don't truly get it, but that doesn't mean I don't get a lot of stuff, right? But then when it pivoted to Veritaseum,
mm-hmm.
then we're like, I'm not so sure about this, because now not only don't I understand it, but now I don't understand it in a way that I don't feel comfortable even talking about it.
Right.
If I don't understand it, right? Because there's a new threshold of
right.
confusion for me at that point. So I just okay, I'll just walk away from this.
Right.
Can't do it all.
Yeah.
So then the transition to gold.
Yeah, that was
like another pivot, and I'm
man.
This seems like a whole nother level of confusion. And I've been saying on Twitter for a few years now, there's no such thing as a crypto-backed gold. It makes no sense.
It makes no sense.
It's bad crypto. It's bad gold. It's bad for both.
Can you explain?
It's the worst of all.
Can you explain to the audience why a crypto-backed precious metal or precious metal-backed crypto is the worst thing that you could think of?
Because you still need to verify the gold.
Yes.
Okay, so
counterparty risk.
That doesn't mean that it doesn't, just because you have some crypto thing attached to it doesn't mean that you escape the fact that the gold itself needs to be verified, right?
Yes.
So
you can stop there pretty much.
That's it. I mean, it's an oxymoron.
Yeah.
Okay, so the great thing about Bitcoin is it's self-verifying.
That's
it
right.
verifies itself.
Through cryptography.
You don't need a third party.
Right.
That's to get the triple, accounting. Triple entry accounting,
right?
It's all self-contained. It's like I don't need a third party. That's the beauty of it. So to say I'm going to ignore the beauty of that, and instead I'm going to bring in this barbarous relic from 5,000 years ago that needs to be verified.
Right.
And so that doesn't make any sense. Number one. Number two. It doesn't make the cryptography any better on the crypto side.
No.
It doesn't make the cryptography coin any more cryptographically better.
No.
It doesn't make the gold better.
No.
It doesn't help either side.
No.
It doesn't make any sense. There's been like 10 or 15 metals backed coins, and every single one said, "Hey, Max, check it out. It's backed by gold." I'm like, that's bad. It doesn't make any sense. So therefore, this was ripe for a problem from the get-go, because it doesn't make any sense. Like I saw him last year at the Black Blockchain Summit at Howard University. He was there, I was there, and part of my presentation was saying gold-backed crypto doesn't make any sense, and I started getting some hostility from the audience because they were there. It was like, well, that's my position. I've stated my position. I can't, that's just the way I think about it. We'll see what the market says. Right.
So as far as the SEC has come after Reggie and Veritaseum LLC, what does this illustrate for? It really shows you how the case or use case for Bitcoin is really prevalent there, because SEC can't come after anyone at Bitcoin, right? So kind of talk about how Bitcoin is unstoppable in that nature. They can come after it. They can, stop some of the on-ramps and off-ramps, but they really can't stop Bitcoin.
Right. Even in the recent congressional testimony, one of the congressmen said that Bitcoin is unstoppable. And there's a growing awareness amongst governments around the world that you can't stop Bitcoin. distributed. There's no center, and it's unstoppable. It's unconfiscatable. Censorship resistant. Everything we've been saying for years is true. It's just taken a long time for people to understand it. The higher levels of government can't stop it. They can't do anything. I mean, even Ethereum, which is getting a lot of flack. It's kind of, getting difficulty now finding a use case, and they say it's decentralized, but it seems like it's not that decentralized.
Right.
And then you have a lot of clones of Ethereum. A lot of the guys who were in Ethereum left Ethereum to start Ethereum-like projects.
Right.
But then, what's the use case of these things really? So, but anyway, to answer your question, so the SEC is got all the time in the world, and they've got all the resources in the world.
Right.
And once they start pulling the threads, they just keep pulling and pulling and pulling.
Yeah.
So I think in the business in 2017, it's interesting because I've been actually in technology business for like 25 years, and then when I was working on Wall Street, I was covering technology stocks.
Okay.
I was on Wall Street when Microsoft went public, when Apple went public.
So you understand the concept of SaaS, right? Software as a service, and that's not really what these types of tokens are. They're not software as a service. It's really money as a service, as you talked about.
Like I was saying, so usually the technology companies, they create software and then they try to make money with that software by selling that software, by licensing that software, by powering an enterprise of some type.
Right.
But in the case of this business, the software is the money.
Right.
Then you try to find a business after you've created the money.
Yeah.
So this is where you see, the exit scam. A lot of people in the business, they're like, here's $500 million, and now they're like, well, we don't really need to figure out what business we're in anymore, do we? Right.
Right.
We're going to create a foundation.
Right. Yeah.
And talk about it. And we're going to create a hedge fund and buy gold.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's been like a very strange part. It's as strange as negative interest rates. Negative interest rates are completely an invalidation of everything anyone's ever learned in economics, because it says that time has no value at all. It's less than zero.
Yeah.
Everything in economics has
like some quantum physics
has value. Your labor has value according to some theories. Time has value according to the dividend discount model. You value the value of a stock or a bond based on its stream of dividends or income over time.
Right.
And the interest rates, there's a yield curve based on time. Short term, medium term, long term. It's all based on time. And here with a negative interest rate, you're saying that time doesn't matter anymore. It's worth less than time. We're going backwards in time. Is it Goldman Sachs trying to go back in time to steal from the past?
I think so.
What kind of crazy quantum physics, universe, parallel, criminogenic world are we living in? Right? So then you have this, ICO business. It's like, we're going to create $500 million. Oh, wait, what business are we in? We don't know. But we raised $500 million.
So tell me about your Bitcoin. Would you consider yourself a Bitcoin maximalist?
Yeah, because that's really the only place to be.
So what about the whole industry of blockchain? Not even just cryptocurrencies, but blockchain. You see a future with that?
Well, it's software, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's called software.
Okay.
It's called a spreadsheet. That's it.
That's it, huh?
Right.
Okay.
So, blockchain without Bitcoin is software. It's a spreadsheet.
Okay.
That doesn't mean anything. It's not. There was, started out as Bitcoin. Then the banks decided they were going to rebrand it as blockchain, not Bitcoin. Then that didn't work. Now it's back to Bitcoin, not blockchain. And
big B and little B. Remember that?
Big B, little B.
Yeah.
All these projects are I think that up until before 2016, I've been in the Bitcoin since 2011, and I've been in technology since 30, depending on how you want to look at it. I mean, I started a technology company. I've invented technology. I've got patents on technology. I've sold my patents on my technology.
Hollywood Stock Exchange.
Right. I sold the virtual specialist technology to Cantor Fitzgerald. They use it to trade derivatives all day. Okay. So you're making a market in virtual securities with a virtual currency, and so I'm actually pretty familiar with technology. Believe it or not.
Just a little bit.
Right. I mean, this business is it's at an interesting juncture where you're going to find now, after the dot-com crashed in 2001, all those mom and pop shops went out of business, and then you had 4 or 5 majors.
Amazon
came out. Amazon, Google. Then Facebook came a few years later. So this is what's happening now. You're going to have now the survivors will be 4 or 5 survivors, and 2,500 coins will go to zero, essentially. No liquidity at all.
Or no liquidity. That's what I tell people. It won't go to zero. It's just you won't have anyone on the buying side, on the ask side, to sell it to.
Right. So there'll just be no liquidity. So that's that. So that's where we're headed. And so with the Bitcoin though, I think that there is a message of unconfiscatable individual sovereignty. That people need to get this message. The whole chase of this is what I was going to say. Before 2016, from 2011 to 2016, when the coins were created, new coins, it was assumed that they'd all go to zero. There was that always it went up and then crashed. It was like that was it. Then in 2017, for some reason, for a year or so, they had this life, and the whole market cap went to 850 billion. Then they all started going back to zero. So now, we're back to the mean,
right.
Which is that they're all going to go to zero or be illiquid.
Right.
That 2017 period is never coming back.
Is the anomaly.
It's the anomaly. It's never coming back. Just like 1999 in the dot-com industry.
Right.
It's never coming back.
Right.
Just like 1987 in the stock business when I was on Wall Street. That's never coming back.
Yeah.
That's just, that
I tell people that all the time. Stop chasing 2017 highs. You're not going to get those.
Right.
You're right.
It's not coming back. Even if Bitcoin goes, it's got to 50, 60,000 a coin, whatever. It's not taking these altcoins with them.
No.
There'll be a few interesting projects here and there, but it's not going to be like this huge wave. It's just not going to happen.
I agree with you.
It's just not going to happen.
Well, there you have it, people. Max Keiser here in Detroit. Crypto Blood. We're going to be hanging out tomorrow. Max Keiser Bitcoin Rage Tour, Detroit. Hope to see you guys there. We're out of here.
Holla.